Hey YouTube, this is Ryan. I wanted to update you guys on a project I'm working on. Making some cabinets for our laundry room. And so here are the carcasses right here. Two smaller ones, this big one right here. And then these two corner carcasses right here. So the next step is making the face frames for them. And I didn't want to do just the basic face frame. You know, this will be the one for the tall one right here. I wanted to do the inset doors, but not just the inset doors. I also wanted to do the bead that you can see on, really up high end, or well, at least what I consider high end cabinets. This is that bead right here. Okay, so and you do that with the router table. Now, I've looked at a few ways of doing it. I'll actually on a couple ways. I did a lot of looking online, and it really boiled down to just two different ways of doing it. You can either cut your rails and stiles. Okay. Here's some rails and stiles I've labeled for one of the carcasses, and you can run your bead on your router table, okay, with a beading bit. So here's a beading bit right here. There's a Freud bit, and then after you've made the beads on each one, you go in and you basically run it through the table saw and cut the bead off. Okay, this bead right here. Then you actually assemble your face frame with pocket holes, okay, like this, a square frame, and then you miter your beads to fit, make a nice tight fit, okay. But the problem with it is, hold on, put you down for a second. Like I said, it's a tight fit. Okay. Alright, the problem with it is you get this gap right here, that little tiny gap. I don't like that. I don't want to be coming through here with brad nails, having to nail this into the frame, and then filling in these gaps. I just didn't like it. I thought, I'd rather just do it the way where it's actually integral part of the frame. Like here, it's not cut off. It's all one piece. Well, there are jigs online that you can purchase to do this, and the one that comes to mind, that's the biggest, most popular, is the Kreg Jig. Well, cheapest price on that is $380 right now in 2016 on Amazon. That's just too much money for this. So I thought there's got to be a better way. And I did a lot of looking online, and I actually found one person on some woodworking community that had a jig that mirrored what I thought was going to be needed in my head. So this is the jig right here. Okay, it's just a basic thin piece of plywood with that has, or let me go to the bottom and pull this out. All right, so thin piece of plywood with a piece of hardwood to run down the rail of the router table. So that was the first part of making the jig. Then I didn't attach this wall or this fence here until last. So I added the hardwood rail, added it to the base. This is only measures about 17 inches by 17 inches. Then I put in a straight cutting bit, not this bit right here, straight cutting bit, and made this channel right here. Just fed it straight on through to about there. Okay, I needed to leave a lot of meat on this wood so there's structure on both sides. Then I took this bit right here. This is a notching bit. This is a Kreg 1/4 inch notching bit. Okay, and it is basically what makes. Here, let me show you. Sorry, I should have thought about pulling these out when I was talking before I made the video. Put these down. So this is left, this is right, this is bottom, and this is top. Okay, so basically, this notching bit cuts a 45-degree angle here on your rails, and it cuts a lot of meat and a 45-degree angle here in your stiles. So, but they line up like that. Okay, nice, good joint, and that you could then do pocket holes with. So I could do the same over here. I've got stuff in the way right now, my measurements. But you see, that lines up nice and tight. Same here on the bottom. Okay. Well, after you make these mitered cuts using the notching bit, then you send it through your router table and make that bead all the way around. And that's what we have here. Okay, this got the exact same You can see it here on the back side. Now this is just a test piece, that's why there's only one pocket hole. There normally would be 2 pocket holes, and I'll have that on these pieces over here. But if you look right here, here's that notch, okay? And how it lines up nice and tight, okay? So I went back through, after I made those notches, I sent it to the router table, made the bead, and then assembled it. Now look at it. There's no wood putty, nothing, no extra sanding I gotta do to make it look like it matches. If I wanted to stain it and finish it with polyurethane, it would look perfect. I wouldn't have to paint it, so you could cover up those seams. It's going to look good. So let's jump back over here to the jig. So after I made that channel here, it was time to send in the notching bit. This is the 1/4 inch notching bit. Kreg has a few others. Now I've got a 3/8 inch beading bit, and for the Kreg Jig that does this professionally, I guess you would call it, it comes with this same 1/4 inch notching bit, and it comes with a 1/4 inch beading bit. Okay, well, since I went with the 3/8, I didn't want the 1/4 inch bead, I wanted the little bit smaller bead. And with this, so I had to do a bit of measuring, but after really figuring it out, I found out how to make it look, how to make it right. So basically, okay, I made the initial channel with the straight bit, put on the notching bit. Actually, no, I put on the notching bit last. After I made the straight bit cut, then I had a line. I had my parallel line for my rail, or for my track here, okay? So then I could get my 45-degree angle. So, of course, I grab a square, line it up, pencil it out. You can see the pencil line right there. And then add a fence. The fence is just added with some regular screws, countersunk, so they're not going to be scratching the surface, so the wood can sit flush. Then, after doing all that, then I attached the notching bit, okay? And I raised it to a height, so I put it right here. Imagine that all this meat of the wood has not been taken out yet. I put it at a height here, and went with my measurement using this guy right here. Was it the eye gauging? It's basically a height gauging tool that I got off of Amazon. So I'll just turn it on. You can see what I'm talking about. I'll put it in, let's see, inches here. Okay, so I'll zero it out. And then I came over and measured right here to the top of the bit. Okay, I had to do it kind of finagling because I can't get the whole thing on, both sides on. So it comes out to about, what, 0.465 inches. It's a bit closer as it gets closer to the fence, just because this plywood is not completely flat. I probably should have gone with MDF. But anyways, I measured out what actual height I needed to have to make these line up. That this 45-degree angle is going to match this 45-degree angle and the depth of the amount of wood that's being taken off here. Well, for this jig, it came out to 0.440 inches using this tool right here. So after I figured that out, and it took some math to get there, and a lot of trial and error, I actually had made another jig. It didn't work out. It was actually, I had the bit too high, so it didn't work out. So after trial and error, like I said, I got my perfect cut. Now, after getting the perfect cut, then the jig is ready to go. Okay. All I have to do, using this tool every time that I set up the notching bit, I make sure it's at the correct height here. So it's like 0.443. It's very, very close to what I need. Right here where the wood would be sitting here along the fence, that it's going to be at the exact right height. Well, after I have that height, you can see I know where I need to make my cuts. So if let me grab this rail down here. I'm not going to grab that really tall stile, but you see I've got a piece I need to cut. I need to cut just a regular 45-degree angle in. Now disregard these marks right here. This is just a reminder for me to know which part is which. But look, I know I need to make the cut and end. That cut needs to end right there where the 45-degree angle coming up meets the horizontal line right here. Okay, that's the top, and that makes a perfect full-length 45-degree cut. So all I have to do is match up the end of this piece with that line right there. And I put it right on up to that line, and then I feed it through and cut it off. So I'm going to strap this on, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Alright, I'm going to get a little bit loud and put on some hearing protection. And of course I've got to plug it in too. Okay. Always wear your safety glasses, always wear your hearing protection. I don't have my respirator on simply because I got the camera on. And the door's open for now. I'm only going to make one cut, so I'm not too worried. Other thing, clamp it down. Once this bit gets moving, it's going to want to push the wood out. So you got to clamp it down, make it nice and tight. Make sure it's lined up just right. Perfect. I'll clamp it up. All right, now we're ready to go. I'll turn it on. There's that 45-degree angle right there. If you take a look, if I had gone too far past that line, I would have a ridge right, I don't know if you can tell, right there. And if I had gone too short, now this wouldn't be tall enough for the amount of meat I'm going to cut out of those stiles right there. Now to do the stile, let me see, get an example here. I'm not going to get, like I said, that tall one, it's too bulky. It's going to be hard for me to finagle that thing onto here. But the stiles, it's just as easy, okay? I line up here, where is it? Grab the top. I basically line up the wood up here, okay? Get it nice and perpendicular and flush right here. Once it's flush, I line it up, okay? Now, this is where the rail meets the stile, and I know I need to make a 45-degree cut, a small 45-degree cut like I have over here. I'll show you over here. In the rail, which means I need to cut out a big chunk of meat out of the stile, okay? So I'm going to make it's going to be a 45-degree cut that starts right here, okay? Right here at this intersection. It's going to come up and then down. I'm going to cut out all that. So it's going to look like this right here, okay? So do you see how that matches up? Just like that? It's perfect. It's beautiful. Okay? So that's what I would do. Now, that's what it looks like there on the floor. This is what it looks like on the jig. So first, I'm not using the lines this time. Okay, that's only for the rails. Now we're talking about the stiles. So first, I'm going to come through. And I'm just going to take one pass, just to take a big chunk of this meat off. Okay, you can't do this in one pass. You have to do it in a couple passes. So first I'm going to come to about here and run it through and take off a big chunk of that meat. But you see there would still be a little gap right there. That's where wood would be. So now I've got to line up that line to the edge of the channel. And so right there, right up there, right where it meets up, okay? Then I'm going to run it through. Get that last little bit of meat out, and I'm good to go. And then I've got my perfect channel for the rail to fit into. Now the other side, it's the exact same thing. Okay, I'm lining it up right there with the other side of the channel. I'm just going to send it right on through. Same thing on the 45-degree cuts that I'd have on my rails. I'm going to line it up with that line right there. Now, doing it this way, I have to be a bit more safe. Okay, the bit is turning this way. So whenever I'm bringing it in this way, bringing a stile in this way, the bit is turning towards the piece of wood. Okay, so it wants to push the wood that way. That's perfectly safe. The pressure's coming this way, I'm holding it, and it's good to go. But over here, the bit is wanting to push the wood towards me. Okay, that wants to push the entire jig towards me. So whenever I'm sending a piece through, not only do I have to clamp it, okay, I've got to modulate how fast it comes through. Okay, I don't want it to just shoot towards me. Now it can't. It doesn't go all the way through, so it would stop itself. But still, you need to be safe. I could easily set up this jig to run this piece on the opposite side so I wouldn't have that problem, but I didn't want to sacrifice the integrity of these portions over here from each other. Okay, if you can catch what I'm talking about. So I just take it easy, nice and slowly, and hold it in with my fingers. Okay. Now after I have all those cuts, then, like I said, I just run it, take it, change out the bit, put in the stile bit, or the beading bit, and then just run them all through, make the bead, and pocket jig it up, pocket hole it up. So if you have any questions, let me know. That's the, I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to spend the money to make such a huge, or buy such a huge jig, and it wouldn't even work on my router table because I don't have a T-track. I'd have to put down another piece of wood, another base, make the T-track, or I would have had to buy a new table. That's just, you know, $1,000 I just didn't want to spend. So basic little jig from leftover pieces that I had. So good luck.